Says we're live. I'm going to check on YouTube. Make sure that it says we are. Yes. Says we're live. Awesome. Awesome. One of my co-hosts is not here yet. She will do her intro when she shows up. She asked me what time the stream was last night, and I didn't see her asking. So she might show up at 9 a.m. her time. We'll see. Anyway, Anna, since you're first in the alphabet on screen, why don't you do your intro?
Sure. Hi, everybody. Happy Sunday and happy Camp Nano. My name is Anna Robbins. I'm a fantasy writer and I make occasional YouTube videos every now and then. And thanks for having me, Zara. This is great.
Yay.
Oh boy. What up, everybody? My name is Grace Wall and I rock with pride. I like diving into fantasies and warm mugs of coffee. What's good, y'all? I'm excited. I'll be working on my fantasy of Druid's Oath today. Thank you for having me.
I love that title. It's so good.
You just have it like on.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I'm going to be stumbling. But hi, everyone. I'm Laura, aka LP Savage, aka Newbie to Novelist. I'm going to wrap up the trifecta of fantasy writers. So I write young adult, new adult fantasy, as well as a little splash of paranormal in there. Currently taking on way too many projects than I can handle. I also release weekly articles on my website, newbietonovelist.com, which is just your friendly tips and advice for the average writer.
I love the website. It's very pretty, has good information. I wrote an article on it, so I'm not biased at all. Hello, Regina and Crow, two of my VIP club members. So they're like always here. And if I forget to tell them that I'm not doing a stream, they'll be like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Well, I canceled the stream, so I have a headache." And they're like, "Oh no." Morning, Eva. Awake with wow, Regina. Because normally, no shade. Normally, Regina like makes her coffee the first sprint, so she'll be like, "I'm here, but I'm not awake." And then she like, but I need to put my caffeine in here. I didn't before this stream. It takes 2 seconds. I just didn't do it. Yay! Congrats, Crow. Yeah, so everyone in the chat knows who I am, but I will just say that I'm not a fantasy writer yet. So I break pattern.
It's so hard.
I know, right? It's like I'm working on my young adult dystopian romance, revising it, because it was my nano project in 2021. Almost said 2022. 2022 nano has not happened yet. And then my other project is a new adult spy thriller, but I have a 5-book high fantasy series planned. I have all the titles. I have a very, very rough idea of what the first book is going to be, but I'm like, I can't think about it too much or it'll jump the line. And like the Stellar Blood trilogy did, which is my new adult sci-fi romance series. And the reason I am like, come hell or high water, I'm writing them in the order that these ideas came to me is so that I can write a series, get completely dedicated into the series, and then be like, as a palate cleanser, standalone book. Even if it's in a completely different genre, which most of them are.
It keeps you fresh. I like that.
Yeah, but like doing 2 trilogies back to back, I was like, no. I'm going to write 2 standalones. So, yeah.
And then you're going to go to a 5-book series?
No. I don't even remember what my next series is, but that one's like way down the line. And
okay.
I'm like, I see you, but I'm not thinking of you. Like, I don't have the brain space right now. Hold on. I keep notes of all my stuff. Where?
Yeah, that's what I currently have going on right now with one of my projects is like, it's a new adult, like almost cottagey, like turn of the century romantic fantasy novel that I have going on that's brewing.
That sounds so nice.
Oh my God, sign me up.
Yeah, I want to
I'm
read
so
that.
excited for it, and I have all these ideas, and like I have like the romantic arcs because I'm gonna do kind of like a bait and switch romance of between like basically a play on the love triangle. But I have all these ideas, but I do not have the time to commit to this specific project. So I'm
Just
like,
write down all the ideas that you have, though, so you don't forget.
oh yeah, I got it. I'm a diligent note taker on my phone, and I like keep my notes out, and I just like scroll through this one. I'm like, okay, this is basically a novel length of the number of notes that I've taken in this book.
Okay. So after those two standalones, the next thing that I'm starting is, it's kind of weird because it's my fairy tale romance. Most of them have romance. My fairy tale retelling series, and while they're all in the same world, they're all standalones enough that it's going to feel like I'm writing a standalone until I'm writing the second one. And then I'm like, am I going to mention the other one or not? And I do, but I need to figure out because I haven't had the time to be like, okay, here's where they all are.
Yeah.
How do the timelines match up? Mm-hmm. So if I want to say like, oh, did you hear about blank that happened? Does that work? Where it's like, oh, did that happen the previous school year? Because they're all in the same like high school, or is it, oh, they're all in the same, like they're in neighboring counties. So it's like, oh, did you hear about this that happened nearby? Kind of like Riverdale and Greendale in, you know, the Archie comic universe. And, you know, so I haven't thought that stuff through yet. So that'll be like somewhere in between. But then also the release dates for each of those books are going to be tied to the fairy tale that it's retelling. So it's not going to be like one after another. So there will be some like standalone books coming out in the middle of those. Cool. So yeah, I have other like normal series planned that will be after, but I've been putting off this fairy tale series, I think, since like 2013.
Oh my God.
So I'm like, I want to just like actually start doing them so that I can say that I've actually done one.
Yeah.
Probably won't be until like 2023, to be honest, but it's like I want to start writing one of them this year, or I'm just going to be like, I'd written the first draft of one and realized like, oh, it needs to be like done better now that I'm a better writer. But yeah.
So wait, what do you think is going to be the first fairy tale you retell?
So, okay, I know the order. So it's going to be Cinderella and then Wizard of Oz. So they're not all strictly fairy tales, but it's like, if they're adjacent. Then Little Mermaid, and then it's like Prince and the Pauper / Swan Lake type of thing.
Ooh.
And then
I just immediately think of Barbie, but I love it.
And then Little Red Riding Hood. That one I'm not excited to write, like, because I'm probably going to traumatize myself while writing it. But, and then Alice in Wonderland. And those are the ones I have on lock. Like, I know the story. I just need to write them. But then I'm like playing around with the idea of Peter Pan, and I think maybe 2 others. But
that's so interesting to me because I'm a writer that's very like, I have 2, maybe 3 things in my brain at any one time, and nothing else exists. Like, I
write these down.
I wish I was.
I don't know if I'd recommend the way my brain works to anyone. It's just the way my brain does work.
Hey, you have a system and it's organized, because I think like I have all the millions of ideas and I have like chaotic notes that I have everywhere, but my system needs some fine tuning for sure.
I mean, I have my bullet journal, and then I have my story ideas are like all in my notes app. I promise we're going to do the first sprint soon. I'm just trying to find my note for the other 3 I was thinking of. Like, I don't want to do one that I don't have a legit idea for.
And just like
So-
sign yourself up for it without knowing what you really want to do.
Yeah. So like I would love to do Beauty and the Beast, Rumpelstiltskin, the Pied Piper, and like the 12 brothers / the Wild Swans / the Six Swans, because they're called like a million different things depending on who's telling the story, but it's basically all the same story.
Yeah.
So it's like I'd love to do those 4 stories, but I don't have a real way, like enough of an idea for me to be like, oh, I'm actually going to do it. Because like I have an idea for the Pied Piper, but I'm like, I don't have any of the logistics
Yeah.
in my head to be like, this is how it would work. So I'm like, I don't want to commit.
I think start with 5 and see where you get.
Yeah. And then like the Peter Pan one is like, it's enough of an idea, but they're like 2 options and I haven't decided. So I'm like, do I make him not a villain or do I make him like not a hero, but like a protagonist who's not villainous? You know what I mean? So I was like, so thank goodness, don't commit to more. Yeah. Oh, I forgot I did add Rapunzel to that list because I apparently flushed it out at some point and didn't remember that I had. So Rapunzel as well. So that's 6, I think. Can I count? Probably not this early in the morning. Okay. Well, The Little Mermaid. I don't want to say really because that that gives away the ending to some degree. Because one ends in tragedy and the other's a happily ever after.
Wait, which one's which?
Depends on your point of view. Yeah. So I'm not going to say. I'm not going to say on here. If you want to text me in the VIP club chat, you can. Because people who are at my VIP club member tier on my Ko-fi, they get my direct number. So they'll text me or they'll text each other in the group chat and I'll like get out of my work day and there'll be like 40 messages and it's none are to me. Like they're all chatting amongst themselves and I'm like, okay, cool. I didn't miss anything. But I have to respond to. Like I'm happy to see it. But yeah. I needed to set up the forest room. And did I do that?
Oh, yes.
No. So we're gonna go with Anna's pick because when Amara shows up, we'll do her tree and whatever. But advising 25. Everyone remember to turn off deep focus mode on your phone. It's Forest app. Because even if I have it turned off, if you have it turned on and then something happens on your phone, it kills the tree for all of us.
Don't be that person.
Not my tree.
And it's like, yeah, you can do it at other people's trees.
Yeah, anyone else's, but not mine.
Okay. The code is Delta Yankee Sierra Juliet Romeo Echo Sierra Golf, and that will be up on screen in just a second. I'm going to share the timer now so that I don't allow us to like start on another topic or something. It's like I need the social interaction, but we also need sprints. And I need them too because I'm very behind on my Camp Nano, even though I set a really small goal.
Oh my God.
I set a small website goal and I'm okay on that. But like my actual goal is to revise this entire novel in the month. And I think that has already become impossible at my current pace. So I just want to get as far as I can. Okay, we are going to start in 3, 2, 1. Happy productivity, everyone. How did people do?
Pretty good. I'm doing a reading project for April, a poetry reading project. So I've just been reading. Ooh, my cover is very reflective. Wow.
Like you're holding a mirror. It looks like it's glowing. You know, like in Pulp Fiction when you open the box and you don't.
I feel like I have a magical artifact over here. Goodness.
It really looks like it.
Poetry, y'all.
Magic.
The magic of words, man. The magic of words.
Well, in Bridgerton season 2, they say, you know, it's all about like revealing truth. Poetry, right. Specifically, when you're talking about it.
I haven't watched it yet, and I'm like aching to watch the second season of Bridgerton. And
okay, I'm just gonna. I missed Vixen of Fiction's live stream yesterday because I wasn't feeling well, and Natalie was on it, and I was supposed to be on it, and I've been like looking forward to it for 2 weeks. Anyway, to talk about my thoughts on the adaptation. First season, better adaptation of the book. Second season, not as good an adaptation, really good story, very different from the book. I like both for different reasons. I will say though, the first 2 episodes of the new season drag so badly. And it's like, you don't really, like, there's like a very, very, very slow burn. And like, that's okay. Yeah. But to me, I could have done with like the slow burn from, you know, I think it's like episode 3 to the end. Like I didn't need, or to episode 7, I didn't need 5 episodes of slow burn when we had like 3 episodes of slow burn in the previous season. It's like the pacing of this season really bothered me. That's my biggest complaint about it. But I do still really like the second season. I just want you to know, because my mom is like, I watched the first 2 episodes and it's like so slow. And I'm like, no. I'm telling you, this season is good. You just have to get to the part where it starts getting good. Yeah. And she's like, well, I hated the first season of Schitt's Creek and then I love the show. So like, I believe you. And I'm like, okay, good. Because when have I ever lied to you about like this type of stuff? But like, you know.
Yeah, the pacing is so different between the 2 seasons because I feel like the first season they had so much to do after they got married, and then this one, like, that was very much just the
I mean, they did change the pacing of the book in the first season too, kind of. True. To like make it more interesting for the show, which I was fine with. Like I do like what Shondaland is doing with it, but it was like the pacing was not only so different from the first season, but also so different from the book. So I couldn't like really be a fan of that, if that makes sense. I don't watch I haven't watched any Bollywood films. So like maybe the pacing is more similar to that because there was a promotional thing where Charitha Chandra, or Chandra, I don't know how to pronounce her last name, because it's different than, it's spelled the same as Chandra. But she and I almost called her Penelope, Nicola Coughlan, who plays Penelope, and Charitha plays Edwina in the second season, they were reacting to like Bridgerton-y scenes from Bollywood, and like the angst and the whatever like was very similar. So I'm wondering if Shondaland decided to like borrow from Bollywood when it came to like their type of storytelling for this season. So if it is, like, I'm not knocking, like, I'm fine with the slow burn, but I think the expectations of what the book that they're adapting and the first season of it set my expectations in a certain way that are like not met with this. But I think if I went in to like a Bollywood movie and that's the way it was paced, I'd be like, fine, totally fine with it. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
I apologize for starting that sidebar.
No, it's fine. That's what these like things in between are for. I don't think you're going to be disappointed in the story, but you're going to be kind of disappointed if you're like looking for a really close adaptation, because that's not it. Like really at all. Like, I might be canceled for this. It kind of felt more like fan fiction. You know, like when you take the characters and you write your like own version, like almost completely, versus the first season of Bridgerton. It's like, okay, you made half the people Black. Cool. You added in the fact that the Queen exists as a character. And then you more or less followed the story. But like you had to build out the world to make it interesting for a show. So like you get to see more of the siblings than you do in the book. And you get these like cuts to the Queen, who's like us, who's basically being like, get people married. Like we're like, we need action in the, you know, type of thing. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm listening to the first book right now, and I missed the Whistledown plot that they put in the show. I thought that was like my favorite part of the first season. So her not being a part of the book very much, I'm like, what? Like she's just little epigraphs at the start of each chapter, like key sentences.
She becomes more like she's kind of like that through the first 3 books, and then in the 4th going forward, she's a little bit more present. I don't want to say too much about the like future books. Also, don't read the epilogues in the book if you don't want to be spoiled on the other Bridgerton siblings, like who they end up with. Because I think even in the epilogue of the first book, like they spoiled like the 4th book or something.
Wow.
In the cup. I was like, like, because I read them a while ago. And then my mom was like, oh, I'm watching this show called Bridgerton. And I was like, why does it sound familiar? And I'm like, what's the plot? And she's describing it. She's like, oh, and I'm on the episode, The Duke and I was like, I read this book. And she's like, what? And I'm like, yeah, I read this like 6 years ago.
It's a book? No.
Yeah. So don't read the epilogues or listen to the epilogues or whatever if you don't want to spoil on future things, because as much as they can change in Shondaland, they can't change who the couples are.
Yeah.
So yeah. I mean, I'm purposely waiting until the seasons of like Shadow and Bone come out, because there is enough of a difference that it's like I was under no illusion that they were like going to follow it like super closely. Yeah. So Angela Ann had been like, if you haven't read this series by now, just wait, so you are not making comparisons all throughout watching. And I was so I did that for the first season, and I was like, that was very, very good advice.
Yeah.
So wait, Zara, have you read the Six of Crows series?
No.
Okay. Yeah. Wait until afterwards.
No, I haven't read Season Storm, which is what season 2 is kind of following. Haven't, but like there are also still the crows, and there's rumors that they're following the Ice Palace heist, which I think is in Six of Crows, not Crooked Kingdom. I might be wrong. I don't know.
No, you're right. That's
okay.
The main plot line is like the Ice Palace.
Yeah. Siege. So I don't know if that's happening or if they're still doing like show exclusive prequel stuff for the Crow characters, because that's kind of what they did for season 1. And then so I haven't read that. Then so I'll watch that. Season 2, read Siege and Storm, and probably still not read Six of Crows until after the Ruin and Rising season 3 of Shadow and Bone comes out. Like I'm assuming it's going to be renewed. So I want to read the books in the order that they came out, but I don't read a book before the season adaptation of it comes out.
Yeah, I was on the different.
I'm in it for the long haul.
Yeah, I read the Six of Crows books before reading the Shadow and Bone books, and honestly, I preferred that because
Reba Nomo has the exact same reaction. She read them first, and she prefers them over the Shadow and Bone trilogy. And before I decided to do what I'm now doing, I asked her, I was like, oh, like, can I read them now? And she's like, without like knowing, like, does it spoil the end? She's like, well, there's a throwaway line that does spoil the end of like the original Shadow and Bone trilogy. And I was like, oh. But now the internet has spoiled it for me, so I don't know if I even care. But,
Yeah.
but I still want to see what the Netflix does before I read the book, because there were some changes that the Netflix show made where I was like, very, very cool. And then there's one where it's like, it's different and I like it, but I'm also kind of mad that you didn't do what the book did, because there was a way to combine like what you had set up in the show and still do the book ending in a way that like would have made me so much happier. So little bit salty about that.
When does season 2 come out?
They haven't announced
They
it
haven't
because
announced
they're still filming.
I'm
Feels like
anxiously
season 1 was
waiting.
so
but
long ago.
I know. Well, it came out in May of
Yeah,
I'm 21.
yeah.
no, wasn't it May 2020?
No, it's 21. It was just last year.
Really?
Yeah.
I feel like we've been chatting about it longer. Wow. Okay. No. It came out in April. I didn't watch it until May because I was like working on finishing up my school
Well, that's
year.
camp time.
Yeah. Okay.
That makes sense. Yeah, because I watched it all. Honestly, with both Bridgerton and the Shadow and Bone series, I binged through both of them and like pretty much like set exclusive time. And that's like the only way I watch TV now is like, I'm like, okay, today is the day I'm going to just binge watch this show specifically so I can like put all of it in and then put it behind me, because I'm like, otherwise if it's like lingering,
I watched episodes 1 through 6 of season 2 of Bridgerton in one day, and then the next day I watched 7 and 8 because I didn't start like immediately at the start of the day. So yeah, and then with Shadow and Bone, I watched the first 4 episodes in one evening, and then I think a week went by before I watched like and then I watched maybe the next day I watched 5 and 6. And then I think a week went by before I watched 7 and 8. It was just
You have so much self-control. I do not.
I was trying to like drag it out, but each time where I was like, I'm gonna just watch one episode, like that didn't happen. Like it became 1 through 4, and then I was like, okay, we're at the halfway point. I'm gonna stop now. And then the next day I was like, oh, I'll watch 1, and I was like, nah, it became 2. And then I was like, okay, well, there are only 2 more, so I might as well just like knock them out on the same day. But it took a week for that to happen. Hello, Jabria. Violet came in. Very productive. Autumn, hi. How was the rest of your stream? I mean, it was on Bree's channel, but you were co-host, so how was that? I think going forward, yes, I would watch the seasons of Bridgerton before reading the books. Also, huge trigger warning for the 3rd book at the start. Like once it happens, you kind of don't have to think about it again, but it's like really messed up. But it's also like a habit in historical romances that like the woman is almost always the victim of violence. And in the first season of Bridgerton, they added in something like that didn't exist in the book. So like that caught me off guard, and I wasn't happy with that. So yeah, just be aware. I don't even know when they're doing it, but yeah. They've been renewed for seasons 3 and 4 already of Bridgerton.
Wow.
So I mean, the 4th one is very important in the books, but they've kind of shifted stuff around for the show, so like it's probably not going to be as important. It's still going to be important no matter what they do in the show. So yeah, getting back to seeing people in person has slowed my work. Yeah, I would imagine. Yeah. I was watching Shadow and Bone. Your mom canceled Netflix?
So sad.
I would offer for you, but Netflix like realized that like I was in a different zip code from my mom like once I moved, and my mom and I like actually had to get me a different Netflix account.
Oh no.
It was so bad. Woo! This is for your new book? I'm very excited for it. I'm so sorry. Because the second half is like where it gets good. You're gonna just have to find a. I know for theater it's called a slime tutorial when it's
Oh yeah.
you know, but I don't know what it's called if it's like for a movie or a TV show. Oh, those were dark days. Do you have it now? I'm hoping that means that you have it again.
I'm trying to think of what the name of all the. I'm not suggesting this, but all the websites
I'm also
I used in college to rip like TV shows. Like we watched everything on the CW just on this sketchy website.
I used Project Free TV a lot, but that was like before Netflix. Like that was before I even had a Netflix account, and this was many, many years ago.
Yes, that was a big one for us. That was like the year that Orange is the New Black came out, and we were like, wait, Netflix made its own TV show? They can do that? It was like the first show they ever produced, I think.
Yeah.
It was before the streaming wars.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I still feel like Netflix is winning, but I've seen some things on Amazon Prime that like look good. Mm-hmm. But every time I get an email where it's like, you have, don't forget to use your Amazon Prime perks because now that I'm no longer an undergrad, even though I still am in school, like Amazon Prime, like cut me off from the very cheap, like student Amazon Prime price. And so like I didn't catch it last year, but I caught it this year. So like mine's ending soon. And it's like, I still don't have enough motivation to like watch all the Amazon Prime originals that like I think I want to. I'm like, I'll just watch them when I visit my mom, or I won't. Like I've gotten this far in life without watching them. I'm fine.
Yeah. Wait, isn't there that like Lord of the Rings prequel-ish series that's coming out? I'm like, that one I would probably watch. And honestly, I use Amazon Prime for my Prime delivery and free shipping more than it pays for itself.
So like I would keep mine if that was it, but my mom has like the Amazon credit card that's tied to her Amazon Prime account, and it gives her 5% back on everything. So she's like, just use my Amazon Prime account if you're going to buy something from Amazon. So I literally have no reason to keep my Amazon Prime account.
I have that credit card as well.
You got to game the system however you can.
Yeah. So whatever. I mean, the thing is that like for Netflix, it's like I almost always have something on in the background, except when I'm streaming. So it's like I really do need my own versus like with Apple, we're on like the family plan, so like it is separate. But honestly, my mom listens to like all my music now, so we could have merged it if that was a possible thing, but it's like whatever, it's fine the way it is. But with Netflix, it's like we have to have them separate because they said we had to.
Well, my fiance works for Peacock, and I always feel like I kind of like root for it as the underdog because I mean, I want him to have job security, but I'm like, come on, these smaller streaming services, you can build up and have more of a repertoire. But
there are like some things on there that my mom is interested in, but like there isn't enough. So like she'll cancel it and then go back to it instead of just like maintaining it.
That's us with Hulu right now. I swear we've had Hulu like 3 different times, but we just keep like pausing our subscription.
My mom is like hooked on Hulu, which should be their tagline, honestly.
Hooked on Hulu. I love that.
So she like loves a lot of the stuff that comes through there. So those are her main places. And then She has the HBO one. There are like 3 different HBO ones. I don't know which one she has, or maybe she has all 3 of them. And my marketing professor in my grad school program was like, the way that they don't like differentiate between their 3 like streaming platforms is atrocious. And what they need to do is like merge them all and get like everyone onto that one thing, because then it'll be better for them and it'll be better for everyone else. So I'm like, yeah, fair. But like I'll see ads for things on HBO, and again, it's like maybe, but I don't care enough.
Yeah. Actually,
I've never watched Game of Thrones.
Yeah. We just started watching, it's called Our Flag Means Death, and it's, I forget
Oh,
the
I've heard
name
of
the show,
that.
but Taika Waititi is in it, and also kind of like helped produce the show. And it's very much like in the same kin of like What We Do in the Shadows, but with pirates. And it's
I heard that was like the pitch.
Yeah, so where we affectionately call it What We Do in the Shallows.
Oh, that would have been so much better. That would have
Missed
been
opportunity.
better title.
So we just started watching that like last week, and it's like honestly the first thing I've watched on HBO and since Game of Thrones was actually like good. R.I.P.
We're gonna get started on the next sprint once I share the code and give people time to go to the room. I'm sorry. This has been a very chatty stream. I did not do my stream last week, so I've been very deprived of chatting with people who are not in my office, who I love, but it's like we can't talk about our creative endeavors because we're constantly dealing with the creative people that are bosses or the bosses themselves when they're talking to us, because we're all in a bullpen basically, like our desks. We're talking about how basically all the clients are on the verge of a nervous breakdown all the time.
Oh.
So
that tracks.
Yeah. Representing like book writers and theater people, and then LA represents like all the actors and the screenwriters and the directors. It's like, oh, everyone's almost always
Everyone's
you
going
gotta
through
treat
it.
them like kid gloves.
Yeah.
Okay, Yankee Romeo X-Ray Zulu Charlie Tango Sierra Golf. I typed it incorrectly. I typed it in correctly, not incorrectly as in I made an error. Want to be clear. Because there was one time, like 2 streams ago, because I canceled the last one. So the last stream I actually had, Chandra was on screen. She's like, I'm entering the code as you wrote it. I was like, I added a digit that I don't know where it came from. It's like my finger had slipped and added an extra one. So not only was it wrong, it was like wrong because there was an extra thing. So the Grayson's in, which means I ain't mess up. This is Grayson's tree. I'm going to update the banner to be the proper number and remember to actually like do it right this time, because I had the wrong banner up for like half of the first sprint before. I was like, oh. I'm going to put this up now so I don't forget. Seeing people as last time are in the room. So I'm going to share this. Remove. Actually, I'm going to give people 1 more minute to enter the force room if they would like. The code is currently over my face, but we're starting the sprint at the 5-minute mark, so that the sprint will end at the 30-minute mark in your time zone, wherever that is. Someone took that to heart and slid in. Is there anything else? Crow, I like this tree. Yeah, it's called the Forest Spirit. Natalie, I would like a heads up if someone plans to query my boss. Okay, we are starting the sprint in 3, 2, 1. Happy productivity. Maybe I'll actually revise my novel this time around, because I was chatting with my VIP club the first sprint.
Hello.
Woo! How did everyone do?
That was good. I finished the section of the glowing craft book that I was reading. So I started reading a new collection. This is a collection I borrowed from a friend. So I've got to read it and get it back to her.
Oh, I want to read that one. I actually recently added that to my Amazon book list.
Yeah, you'll definitely get through it really quick. The poems are quite short, so you could read it in like 1 or 2 sittings, which is nice.
Is the other one by the same poet?
The one I was reading before is a craft book.
Oh,
So,
okay, my bad.
Yeah.
Because that book, the one that you just started or are gonna start, got recommended to me because I had gotten this. Because this is the Oracle deck that like Kate has been using on her streams recently.
That looks really pretty.
And then that unlocks something in me because I bought 2 more Oracle decks, and because like I now have a paycheck and it's very dangerous. Yeah. I have been good because I've been like writing down the 30% that I need to save from each paycheck for taxes, and then remaining from that, I've been putting money into my 2 Acorns accounts, like the normal one and then the later, which is like for retirement. And then not this month, May 1st, I believe, I become eligible for like the 401k. So that'll be even more money that's being invested. So it's like I'm being reckless with the money that I can spend, but I'm not overspending what I can spend from each paycheck.
That doesn't sound reckless. That sounds like a normal 20-year-old to me.
Yeah.
25.
Yeah.
I don't feel 25. It's like I still feel this. I don't think I've felt differently since I turned like 18, which sounds like I haven't matured. Obviously, I've matured, but like when I think about myself, I don't feel like any different from year to year. And then it's like, oh, I'm this way. So suddenly I've changed.
I'll agree to that. I feel like you definitely, like, when I reached 18, there was a level of maturity, and obviously, like, life lessons have come and went, and I do more adulty things like pay my taxes and have a 401k collecting, but I feel like it's just like I feel the same emotionally, and the years just keep getting shorter.
Yes. How did you guys do?
I think I'm going to make a t-shirt that says this.
You're being reasonably reckless. I'd buy one.
It'll just say reasonably reckless. So like the thing will be like, are you saying that you are or that you're telling other people? Like, if you know, you know. A handwritten page. Kudos to you.
Nice.
I avoid handwriting as much as I can. The most handwriting that I do is writing to-do lists in my bullet journal.
Yeah.
And also like the tarot card definition that I pull each day. But then besides that, the most handwriting that I do is like on my iPad when I'm writing comments on a manuscript.
Not me putting my wrist brace on. Thank you, Nia.
Yeah, I know. I'm like really tempted to do it after the stream ends because I won't really be able to use my mouse after once I put it on. But I'll be recording a podcast episode with Kelly after this stream ends. So once I have the script up and have clicked record, I can wear it for like.
Yeah. The key is to wear it before it starts hurting. When my wrist feels good.
I have ergonomic keyboards and stuff, and I use them at work. And I use actually no, I don't use the one at work because I hated it. So I got one that's like it is tilted up, so it's not like flat, which is great, but it's not as ergonomic as my keyboard at home. And we can't work from home anymore, which like is good for the fact that like I need human interaction now, but it kind of sucks for my wrists for 50 hours a week.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
And
yes, it's 50, not a 40-hour work week.
Lord.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been trying to sleep in mine, and then I take it off in my sleep. So I
when I used to knit and crochet all the time, I used to have like really bad carpal tunnel. So I would sleep in my brace. But then someone told me that like you shouldn't sleep in your brace because like it messes with blood flow because you're like you're sleeping horizontally. But I know most people sleep in their braces, and like to me, I'm like, well, what if it's like not like it's tight enough, but not too. So like I haven't slept in my brace in a while, but I should really start using it when I'm like
when I sleep, I go like this.
Oh, that's
like under my pillow because I'm snuggle up.
I'm like this under my pillow, so it is pretty flat. Like the weight of my head keeps it. No, I'm not saying that you're doing a bad. Like I'm sure you're doing what's right, Crow.
It's a good reminder not to make it so tight.
But yeah. Anyway, how did everyone else do? Because we heard Anna's update. How did you both do on this side of the screen?
Let Grayson go first.
So the last sprint I was doing a planning phase for a map. So this is my planning phase.
You should make maps as a commission on your Ko-fi page.
I plan on it once I get comfortable. So I did a little planning on that, and for this one, I actually started inking it, so it looks drastically different.
Oh my gosh!
I would pay you now.
I love it.
Like I know maybe you're not comfortable, but like once you're comfortable, let me know and I'll give you gold for a year so that you don't have to pay 5% of your commission income to Ko-fi. Like they deserve all the money, but at the same time, like I don't want my like writer friends having to like give up any percentage of their money if I can give them free gold for a year. After that, it's $6 a month, which is like so small compared to the success I foresee for all of you on Ko-fi. Make a Ko-fi.
Oh yeah, I'm not at that phase yet.
I do need to post an update. I keep forgetting that I have a Ko-fi. So someone mentions like, oh yeah, you haven't touched your Ko-fi. I'm like, I have a Ko-fi? Like, oh yeah. Same thing like Barrett mentioned my GoFundMe, and I stared at him like, oh crap, I forgot that I have a GoFundMe. I forget these things because I like to push other people's stuff, but my own is like, what?
Yeah, so having a Ko-fi page has made me promote my stuff because it's like, it's for me, but also me trying to be like, look, it's a good platform. I need to get all my author friends on it because they deserve to have a virtual tip jar, even if they're not ready to offer commissions. And then, people are like, I don't know what to sell in my shop. I haven't published a book. And I'm like, there are ideas. I have a guide all about it. And I also offer like one-on-one coaching. Yes, I'm doing shameless plugging.
You're so good at the shameless self-plug, though. You just ease right into it.
So about this,
I used to be bad at it, like because I'd be like, oh, I have a Ko-fi and you can buy my books, and I like wouldn't mention anything else. And Barrett would be like, you have an outlining guide. You're coming out with like a guide for Ko-fi writers, which I'm super excited about. I am going to be coming out with this. Yeah, I am going to be coming out with the Scrivener guide before next camp. Once I'm like, because I'll actually have time, or I'm lying to myself that I'll actually have time when my grad school ends and like my once a week class won't be there anymore. It's like, come on, girl, you have time. But do I have the energy? But I'll just like shuffle priorities and things like that. Because once April ends, like it won't be camp anymore. So I won't feel like, oh, I should be revising. If I have any downtime, I'll be like, it'll get revised. I finished chapter 6, revising chapter 6, and there are this book kept growing. So there are 46 chapters, and my brain keeps being like, oh, there are only 35 chapters. It's like, no, that's not accurate anymore. But still, progress is progress. Speaking of, Laura, how'd you do?
No, that just reminded me because I'm currently, this wasn't what I was working on, but I'm currently doing a rewrite of like the first book of this fantasy trilogy that I have like 3 books written in different states. The first 2 of which are completely written. The third is like halfway done. But I had a major like plot point that I wanted to change about like the main character's backstory. And then that's really dramatically shifted so much. But the book itself was already like 57 chapters and like 130K, 120 to 130K. And now during my rewrite, the first like 10 chapters I made into 20 shorter
Whoa.
chapters, but I keep expanding. I'm like, this is gonna take another like pass after I do finish the rewrite just to like cut everything kind of back down. But
Okay, yeah, I want to say that my boss, who for people who maybe don't know, I am the assistant to a literary agent, which means that by 2 years from now, I will be an agent in my own right and able to take on clients. But he was like, yeah, if I see a word count that's above like 80K for a debut author, he's like,
Even in fantasy? Ooh.
not like he would rather build something out than have to work on cutting fluff. That's him personally. Fantasy, I would say like if it's more than 100K as a debut, you might have some eyebrows raised by agents.
unless you're Brandon Sanderson, but
Well, I said debut. Because like the finished product will probably end up being like 120K or something, depending on what your editor says. But I encourage everyone to try and meet the lower end of the word count range that is given for your genre if you're going for traditional publishing. So embrace the almost underwriter in you if you're an overwriter, or at least do your overwriting and then cut that baby down.
Yes, fortunately, the novel that I'm working on querying right now is only 75K, and actually fits very nicely into the YA genre versus the trilogy is very much the new adult obscure genre that like it doesn't have a home quite yet.
Gotcha.
But otherwise, during this last sprint, aside from chatting with my fiance, we're currently home hunting, and it's so stressful and so competitive.
I feel like every AuthorTuber I talk to is now house hunting. Like Vixen of Fiction, who did come in, I think during that sprint. Time means nothing to me anymore. She's house hunting for her daughter, I believe, and the daughters. If I get this wrong, Nia, you can call me a bad friend. I think still fiance at this point. I don't think they've had their wedding yet. But she said that it's hell. And then Barrett was house hunting, and then circumstances changed, so they don't need a new place anymore for now. But they were talking about like how it's hell. So my condolences to you.
Yeah, good luck, good vibes, and wishes, and
this
all
market
the rainbows.
is insane. And we've honestly, like, we toured like 4 places last week and none of them were matches. And then there was 2 that we had tours set up for and they sold before we even had the chance to tour them. So it's
that happened to like the perfect place for Nia's daughter. I was like,
so it's kind of a crazy market, like especially I'm here in Orlando, so within the Central Florida area, and it's just like listings will be up for maybe 2 days, and if you don't move on it right away and like put like $20,000 over the asking price, like you're not going to get the place. So
I have a year and 4 months left on my lease, and
long lease. I love that.
Well, it's 2 years. It's a 2-year lease, and I'm really hoping that I can renew it because I really love it here. But it's like I had in the 2 full months of payment that I've received for this job, like I can pay for 1 month of rent here. So my mom has like been helping me out, and she was helping me out before I had a job. But like at some point, I would like to be able to become fully financially independent. But working in the arts, it's like, it's nice to have a dream.
That's New York's fault, not entirely your fault.
I mean, I got this apartment at like a fraction of the price from everywhere else in this building because I'm renting from someone who owns the apartment versus renting from the building. But like at some point, this woman is going to raise the rent, and then I'm going to be like, 4 months to make 1 month of rent.
Yeah.
This is what we moved thanks to Tesla. Like we were in Austin and the prices were okay. Like Austin's already high price, but we found an area that's right next to the Domain. The Domain's a heavy business area. So we were like just into the thousands a month. It's not that bad. The second Tesla hit Austin, the prices started skyrocketing. It's hard to find an apartment. It's hard to find housing, and finding housing in Austin used to be easy because no one really bought houses. We got apartments. But now, thanks to Tesla and everyone coming in from California, there's nothing. People are extremely competitive. The prices are rising, so we got out quickly because our prices were rising rapidly.
So where are you now?
Now I'm in Portland, which is basically Corpus Christi. So we're right on the water.
Oh, that sounds so nice.
Beautiful.
It is beautiful here. We get up and you see the beach and you see water everywhere. And you hear the water. And there's nice and windy. And there's seagulls everywhere. So you look up and you see just wings flying everywhere.
That's
it's
beautiful.
so nice and peaceful. Oh, it's lovely here. And it's slow paced. It is slower paced. But it's picturesque. The views. And I was like, I know we're here temporarily, but I'm actually considering staying.
No, I mean, if you find a place that you like, just extend your stay. I used to live on the East River, and I think if I lived more downtown and it wasn't across from my middle school that gave me all of the trauma and PTSD, I would not essentially hate the East River now. But I live like 3 avenues away from the Hudson River, which is on the west side of Manhattan, for people who don't know. Manhattan's the only place that I know geography for. That's about it. Like I know which states are south of me and which states are north of me, but once you get like to the middle or the west, I'm like, I know California and I know Texas and I know Louisiana. Everything else, I'm like, unless I look at a map. But yeah, so I'm not on the river anymore, which is kind of nice because it used to get really cold, like because of it would always be colder there than the weather that they report for the city, because they report the weather that's like smack dab in Central Park, which is in the center of like both rivers. So you're not getting a proper reading for that. For those ends. But yeah, I love where I am. I would just really like to feel safe again on the subway so that, because like then I can take the subway everywhere because I'm at like a hub in the city. And as much as I love Times Square, it's really sketchy to live there. So I live in like another cultural hub that's like, you don't feel like you're going to get mugged.
Important, very important.
That's my issue with Corpus Christi. It's very beautiful. It's gorgeous. It's very touristy area, but it's also very stabby type of place. So it's like,
here's the thing: there are certain places in New York where it's like you could get mugged at like once it gets dark, and then there are places like basically the entire city is like if you're out from like 1 a.m. to 5 a.m. unless you're like in a very residential place. Then it is like 1 a.m. to 4 a.m. It's like murder time, robbery time, whatever. Like if you're being smart, if you're being conservative, or like travel in a group at any time and you're mostly okay. But it's like, oh, and never go into a park like during those hours, even if you're in a group. Like that's just asking for trouble. But it's like, it's very easy to live in a semi-state of delusion that you're safe if you take precautions and like aren't stupid. But then you read like a news story and you're like, also if you're just white, you're better off.
That's such a trick for me to hear because like in Austin, you will see and hear random stuff like during Christmas last year. There's a guy who got a bow and arrow for a gift. So he went to the gas station and was literally using people as target practice. You hear stuff like that.
I think I read that news story.
That was half a mile from our apartment. We were like, okay.
Oh my God.
We want snacks. We went down to the gas station, got snacks, and went about our business. You hear stuff like that, and then we have like these huge dog parks, and you're still safe to go walking through. Like you'll see a lot of people because there's a lot of homeless walking around, and they are the sweetest people. You see, you'll talk to them, they'll talk to you, and they'll warn you like, "Hey, watch out for this spot. There are wild dogs out here." Stuff like that. It's so safe from the people. The police are a different story, but from the regular civilians, it's relatively safe. Unless you're purposely asking for it, people usually leave you alone. Like if you're being a jerk to people, then you're really asking for a beatdown from almost anyone. But it's
I'm sorry. I shouldn't have laughed
It's like,
at that.
everyone's like really chill, but the second you have an attitude and you show it, like if you're being a Karen, oh, it's a done deal for you. And I'm like,
Everything is a done deal if you meet a Karen. Unless you're a fellow Karen. But even then, that can get dicey if you're like...
Oh, yeah, don't put two Karens in a room. No one's going to be alive.
No, thank you.
I mean, do if you're filming it and you're able to watch it later.
We stay keep it at a distance. Like for instance, it's people still wear the mask very heavily in Austin, which is awesome. My partner has lupus, so we're very careful. So when we go to a store, again, people never really mess with you. But one woman's like, "You're still wearing a mask. You're a sheep." And of course, everyone in the store turned to her and looked at her. It was glaring, and she got real quiet. And she's like,
"Oh, that's good. That's good." I thought you were gonna say that everyone like piled on, and I was gonna be like.
Yeah.
No, it's like the thing. Everyone stared her down was glaring, and she's immediately went to victim mode. Like, I'm not the monster here. Started crying. We're like, we're just here for some.
Okay, white woman tears.
Don't dish it if you can't take it.
Oh my God. It's like, but if anyone needs a writing prompt, a really quick short one: 2 Karens are trapped in a room. Only one makes it out alive.
I love it. Also, prisoner's dilemma. So it's like if they work together. They could both get out alive, but like get less money.
But you know that can't happen.
Exactly. But it's like they're given that. It's, Squid Game.
Yep.
So
but with only Karen.
Oh, the Karen Squid Game.
The Karen game.
I'll start working on the screenplay. Let's go.
Yeah.
I want to see a point system for the Karen games. Like, how would they be graded? For their Karenisms.
Well, they don't get graded. It's like we just watch and whatever, but it's like the challenges that are given to them will like be designed to bring out full Karen.
Oh yeah.
I love my family. I do. But the oldest generation that's still alive are white boomers. And Mom, if you're watching this, I'm sorry if you get offended. But whenever I'm like, white people or like boomers or whatever, and I make a generalization, I'm like, just because you all are better, like, doesn't mean that this generalization doesn't hold for other people. So like Karen is a stereotype for a reason.
Okay. Absolutely.
So, but like when I say that, obviously, like I don't mean the people I'm friends with because I don't associate with the people who I make fun of. Because those people that I make fun of probably don't want me to exist on every single level of my identity, like gender identities, sexual orientation, the fact that I'm not white, the fact that I'm a woman, because we have all those people who vote for a certain political party. It's like, why are you voting against your own interests? As a human, and they never have an answer.
Because it's American. That's their answer.
I saw, I think it was a reel. I don't know if it was like a TikTok that was turned into a reel, but they were talking, it was like, oh, birth rates are declining in like Germany and America. And it's like, oh, like, what if you just did this? And Germany's like, yeah. And America's like, nah, like on every single thing. And then the thing is like, what if you do this? And it's like a way to like take away some human right or something. And Germany's like, no. And America's like, and then Germany is like, what is wrong with you?
I don't think you realize the absolute desire to go back to Germany. I wish so badly I was back because I missed it. The food was better, the environment, the culture, like I loved it. And I thought,
where were you in Germany?
I was in Wiesbaden. That's kind of close to Frankfurt. I was born in Heidelberg and I was raised in Wiesbaden, and then we came to Texas. And while we did learn about America, for me, America was like a myth.
I follow international fanfic writers on my pen name account, which I will never share, and but it's like they'll be like, question is because they all write their fan fiction in America. Sometimes they write it in London, but like a lot of them don't live in London either, and they'll be like, is this real? And I'm like, unfortunately. Is almost always my answer.
And
I
it's
was like, it
almost
does
always
depend
real.
where you live and what your upbringing is, but like in general, like, yes, this isn't a fully fictitious thing.
It's weird. It's weird. I fully thought like, oh, I'm German. My mom's like, no, you're not. You're American. I'm like, what? I was so angry that I refused to speak English for an entire year when I first got here. My teacher thought I could not speak English, so she had to get a translator to sit in the classroom with me.
Wow.
Would she like shit talk in English and you'd be like, I understand what you're saying, but I'm committed to this ruse?
No, she was just like, she was really like heartbroken, almost like, it's okay, we can get you to try. And she would try to get me to speak English, and I was just like, no.
I love that.
It's like, nice try. Moving on. Let's do our third sprint. Yeah, it might be our final sprint because we've done a lot of chatting in between, which I love. That is not shade to my co-host. I love it. So in 3, 2, 1, happy productivity, everyone. Hi. We are gonna do one more sprint. It's gonna be 15 minutes long, so we can do Amara's intro, and then have time to do like quick outros at the end. So, rapid fire, how did everyone do? So, Anna, you'll go first, then Grayson, then Laura, and then Amara, you can do your intro. And then we'll get started on the next sprint because I'm going to put the Forest Room code up while we're doing this.
Cool. Yeah. Hi, Amara. That was a good sprint for me. I just kept reading, so I'm honestly probably going to finish it in the next sprint, maybe, if I can speed read.
Woo.
I finished inking this, so it's done. I worked out some techniques on what I like, what I don't like, and I'm gonna do a more permanent, cleaner version of that later.
Awesome. Laura, you need to unmute.
I always do this at least once per live stream. It's just my calling card now. I finished up a blog post that's going to be going out this week, and it's how to write a story that stays interesting. So a few different tips and tricks involved in there, and I'd love to hear people's feedback. So yeah, that's what I did.
Cool. Amara?
Well, while you guys were sprinting, I was sleeping. But so I woke up and I showed up. That was my productivity during your last sprint. And hi, I am Amara Franklin. Intro time? Yeah. So I have a YouTube channel where I make videos about writing and reading and just kind of being a single mom of 7-year-old twins who are.
Mommy.
Hi.
Mom, I'm so dirt, Mom.
Cool.
Who, of course, hear me speaking and decide at that exact moment to come in and ruin my intro. But yes, this is my life, and I sometimes film it on YouTube.
Awesome. The code is up. 3 Charlie November, Foxtrot Golf, 4 Tango Sierra Golf. Devin came in, awake but not fully functioning yet. Hashtag zombie mode. Cool, cool, cool. Crow put some spring rolls in the air fryer. That sounds delicious. I started putting in my alpha reader comments for chapter 7 because I like to have them all in the document before I start making changes. So that always takes like a sprint or two, depending on how fast and how many comments there are. Yeah. There were like, I think 40 something, and I think I have like 30 left to do. So I might not finish it by the time this stream ends, but I will finish it by the end of today and hopefully start revising chapter 7 today. But I need to format a book for Regina Duke, and I'm doing a lot of podcast stuff almost immediately after this stream ends. So who knows? It'll be a productive day. I just don't know if this project will get any more love once this stream ends. People are in the room, so we are going to start once I share the screen. In 3, 2, 1. Happy productivity, everyone. This is our final sprint. That was our final sprint. Let's do rapid update, but after your update, you can do your outro before passing it to the next person. So Amara, you are first.
So I pretty much finished my beat sheet for the novel that I'm working on. I just have a couple of points left that I want to write down. So it felt really good. And I just did my intro, so my outro is pretty much the same. I have a YouTube channel. It's just, if you search for Amara Franklin, you'll find me. I post YouTube videos about my writing process, the books I'm reading, and chasing my minions around the house. So,
Awesome. I'm almost done with my poetry collection. I think I have maybe like 10 poems left, so I'll probably be doing that later. And thanks for having me, Zara. My name is Anna Robbins. I'm a fantasy writer who sometimes makes videos. I'm hoping to make a April vlog about the poetry project I'm doing. And I'm also making a video about ordering a proof copy from Lulu of my first draft that I completed. So I'm very excited to get that in the mail.
That's
What is
awesome.
everybody? My name is Grayson Wild, and I write with pride. I like diving into fantasy and warm mugs of coffee. For this sprint, I pretty much chased my cats and gave some cat cuddles, and I was dancing.
I
I
love
was
that.
cheerleading. Then I was getting together some ideas because me and one of my partners have an Etsy that we're putting up, and I was getting some ideas together for some themes because I'm going to be bookbinding some little books.
Use
some
Ko-fi
ideas.
instead. Etsy takes a lot of your money.
See, I didn't actually put it up. He put it up, so it's under his name. So I'm like, that has nothing to do with
Tell
me.
him
Like,
to get a
that's
Ko-fi.
But I'm getting together some ideas, and he was like, why don't you put some random maps on some of the covers? So I'm thinking of ideas for that for my notebook. So that's what I did for that.
That's cool.
Awesome. I finished up an editing pass of this new blog article, so I'll tie that into my outro. So I am Laura, aka LP Savage, aka Newbie to Novelist, which is my website where you'll find regularly content posted oftentimes weekly. I've been slacking a little bit in the last couple of weeks, as well as a monthly guest author, which Zara has a lovely post that she did last year for me, so you can check that out. Also, I'm going to shameless self-plug since Zara, you inspire me. Recently in February...
I'm just shamelessly self-plug. Your intro and your outro whenever you're a guest on my channel.
Exactly. So I'm taking advantage of that today. But if you'd like and are interested in dark fantasy, I'm going to plug this collection of short stories, which I am part of. It's called Forbidden Delights, indie published in February with a lovely, lovely, talented group of indie writers. Each one is a very different dark fantasy short story that focuses around a different indulgent food, which we kind of tied in for the theming around Valentine's Day. But that is out. There's links on my Instagram, and I think that's all I got for today.
Cool. If you DM me the link, I will add that to the description after this posts to YouTube, which normally only takes a few minutes. For everyone in the chat who maybe doesn't already have my intro memorized, because I do sprint so often, my name is Zara Hoffman. I'm the self-published author of 6 books, a young adult paranormal romance trilogy and a new adult sci-fi romance trilogy. My Ko-fi page is the best place to follow me. Because Instagram has a habit of randomly shadow banning me and then lifting it. So my Ko-fi is where it's at. I have tiers there, and if you join any of them, you get perks. If you do a one-off donation, I appreciate it, as I always have a goal that I'm saving towards. And I have a lot of commission options, whether you are going for traditional publishing or indie publishing. I can help you with something. So I hope you check those out. And then in my shop, you can buy signed paperback books if you live in the US or Canada. And if you live internationally outside of those countries, you can buy a signed book plate. I also have some PDF guides. So one is my outlining method, which is loose enough that anyone can try it. And if you decide you still don't like any outlining method, it's only $3. So what did you really lose? And then I have a Ko-fi guide for writers, which is aimed at writers, because while I love the platform so much and am an ambassador, their guides for how to succeed on the platform are still mainly aimed at like digital and visual artists. So there are more things that are like, I don't have a book published. What do I put in my shop? So things like that. Hope you're interested in that. I have a Scrivener guide that will be up before July camp. And I currently have a pre-order for stickers that are keyboard shortcuts, whether you use Windows or Mac. So because I am currently staring at my InDesign keyboard shortcut sticker that I bought off Etsy. And, people, Scrivener's amazing. It's what you make out of it. And I think knowing those keyboard shortcuts will make it easier for everyone. So yeah, I hope everyone had a fun time, and I will be streaming again next Sunday, same time, 9 a.m. Eastern. Grayson will be returning as a guest, but the other 3 people will be different. And yeah, have a good rest of your morning, afternoon, evening, or night.